Hi, welcome to Wisecat. Okay, so I wasn't actually planning on doing a shared hosting guide or something, but I saw recently, I went into the forums on Moodle.org and I saw it's totally blowing up there. People are having a hard time installing Moodle 5.1 on the shared hosting platforms. And so I thought, ooh, okay, that needs a bit of addressing, so maybe I'll give it a little bit of a shot. And so I figured I'd give it a spin in a video and make a little video on it. But I didn't have a shared hosting provider, so fortunately I had a friend of mine donate some for my use. So he had some extra space, and he said, yeah, you can use that. So thank you very much for that. Anyway, I'm going to start this one out though with, first of all, a ducky's wing tip of the day. And the wing tip of the day is, don't do it. Don't use shared hosting to serve Moodle. If you do, I am going to be left wondering, why would you do that? Do you hate yourself? Why? Just don't do it. And the reason I say why don't do it is because if you have a look, so first of all, Moodle is an open source project, right? And therefore it's open source software. And the advantage of open source software is you can run it on whatever platform you like, and you can do with it whatever you like, and you have the ultimate freedom. And the ultimate freedom actually comes with running your own server software. So for example, a VPS platform gives you really, really good freedom. And you might say, yeah, but that's too expensive. I can't afford it. That's complete bollocks, because look here, in Linode, a Nanode 1 gigabyte, the smallest one there, but 1 gigabyte of RAM and things like that. This is probably comparable to your lowest tier shared hosting platforms. And it's $5 a month. I mean, seriously, the shared hosting platform that I'm going to be using today, I checked their pricing, and it's $2 per month if, and only if, you sign up for 4 years at a time. Now, if you want to go month by, Linode's $5 a month is hourly rated. You get $5 a month, and it's charged every hour on the hour. You use it for half a second or something like that. Then you're only going to want one hour, which is less than a cent. I mean, look at that. It's 0.0075. It'll be less than a cent to try it out for an hour. And, it's just, and Linode's not the only one. Here's DigitalOcean, and they do the same basic idea. Let's see where they're pricing. Pricing. It's a link here. Okay, there we go. Gradient AI. Where am I on an AI thing? It's not AI that I'm after. Whoops. Okay, I don't have the page I wanted up, queued up and ready to go. But basically, Kubernetes volumes, functions, droplets. That's what we're after. So $4 a month. Here we go. Sorry, they changed their site and I'm not so used to it. But for example, just for a regular CPU option, here we go, $4 a month, and $6 a month, which is very common for, say, a 1 gigabyte of RAM with one virtual CPU and 25 gigabytes of disk space and stuff like that. Very comparable, basically the same as the Linode offering as well. And guess what? They're not alone either. Here's Vultr, their pricings. And here we go, the same basic idea. For a really small one with low memory and low performance needs or anything, $2.50 a month. So you can see that these are actually very comparable to what you're seeing with the hosted solutions. The only thing that the hosted solutions do is they take away a lot of your freedom, because they take the management of the OS part away, which sounds like it's making it easier for you, but actually, I'm going to argue that it's making it harder. Because if you don't have control over those things, okay, you want to change the version of PHP, you're limited to what they offer. You want to change the database from MySQL to Postgres, you're limited to whether they allow it or not. Let's say you want to use something weird like, I don't know, Oracle or whatever it is. You want to use some other sort of database, or you want to use some other sort of, you want to use Lighty or something like that. You want to do anything you want to do. You lose that freedom or you lose some of those freedoms when you're doing shared hostings. So I mean, the number one Ducky's wingtip of the day is don't use shared hosting. Use a VPS. Use a VPS, host on bare metal, whatever you want, but don't use shared hosting. This is a bad idea. That said, people out there still love to do it, so let's go and check it out. So, oops, not that one. That's the one. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a look at our to-do list. Now, on shared hosting, unfortunately, wait a minute, I will actually switch over to, there's the dashboard, there we go. All right, so you see that there are a lot of shared hosting providers have these auto installers. Again, another really, really bad idea. Don't use an auto installer to install Moodle. First of all, you won't know where everything's gone. You won't know where it's been installed. You don't know what version is being installed. You don't know how it's being managed. And upgrades might put, again, that removes the freedom. With a Git install, for example, you know exactly what version you've installed, and you have the 5-command video that I did earlier where I held up 6 fingers. It's 5 commands to upgrade to update your Moodle to the latest code base. You have no control over whether the auto installers are going to do that, or if they're going to keep supporting Moodle and keep upgrading it properly, or on what sort of timescale. You just lose all that freedom. You've gone and bought all this freedom by using an open source piece of technology, and if you use auto installers, you lose all of that freedom. So I really can't argue against auto installers enough. I mean, yeah, there are 2 things that I really think you should stay away from if you're hosting Moodle. One is shared hosting, the other is automated installers. And even though I did a video on one of them, it was a little bit better than I expected, I still wouldn't use them. I wouldn't touch them at all. No htaccess, no installatrons, no fuzzy wuzzy automatic super easy install. No, the more they tell you it's easier, the harder it is. it's don't do it. Anyway, here we go. So on our list, we had a bunch of things that we've got to get done. We've got to get the htaccess site up and running. We've got to get it using, got to be secure. We need to set up PHP for Moodle. That's step 2. We need to use Git to get the Moodle code, because I don't want to be downloading zip files and unzipping, do that rubbish. That is just too much work for, and it's just bad. Step 4, we're going to set the public directory in the Moodle that we download, because we're installing 5.1. It's got the public directory, so we're going to be setting that public directory to be the web root, and we've got to do that in the shared hosting platform. And at the same time, we'll probably also make sure that we've got a Moodle data directory that isn't web accessible, because the Moodle data directory shouldn't be and cannot be web root accessible from the web. Then number 5, this is the one that seems to be kicking up a big part of the storm, is we'll be configuring the router, r.php. Number 6, we're going to be going to make the SQL database so that it actually has somewhere to go. And that one we won't be able to choose, I don't think. I doubt I'll be able to choose Postgres or whatever, because I will be at the mercy of the shared hosting provider. Whatever they provide is what I'm stuck with. Number 7, we're going to actually go and install the Moodle. And number 8, we'll add a cron job. I might not touch on that too heavily, but because I'll probably be tired by that time, and I'm really just going to delete this straight afterwards, so cron isn't really my biggest issue. So anyway, one of these, fortunately, just by logging in and basically setting it up, I can actually happily say that it has already, the shared hosting provider did just set me up with HTTPS, and so I'm off to the races with HTTPS. So the HTTPS thing in this list, that first one is done. So basically, if I go, sorry, oops, Whoops, explanation one. Yeah, so I've made a placeholder page just here. This is as far as I actually did before I started recording. Was I just created a basic HTML page that just has an H1 in there that says hello world, and I just did that so that I could test whether it was actually connected to the domain. And it came up as HTTPS already. So out of the box, it is HTTPS. If I look at the connection, is secure box, probably signed with, yeah, it's a Let's Encrypt certificate. So they just use Let's Encrypt to do everything. Yeah. So Let's Encrypt, that's the signing authority, the certificate authority I would have used on a VPS, so that's the same, and that's actually pretty nice that they made that incredibly painless. So yeah, score one little thing for the guys over at the shared hosting providers. Okay, so, sorry, what's on the list? I'm going to have to flick back and forth to the list. PHP for Moodle, okay. So let's get on to step 2, setting up the PHP. I'm on the... Sorry, I mean, I really have not rehearsed this. I do not know what I'm doing with shared hosting. But usually you log in, you get this sort of a... oh, it's running smoothly. Well, that's good to know. You do have... okay, let's look in there. PHP configuration. That's got to be it. Well, PHP info. Let's look at it now. Don't... I think it's telling you who I'm using. I'm trying not to put any crap on them, but... here we go. So we've got PHP coming up. It's 8.2, which is going to be compatible with 5.1, so I don't need to touch that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So it's got a bunch of stuff there. Extension directories and things like that. I do wonder what the CLI will be, because I'll probably need a CLI version somewhere for... I'm not likely to get that from PHP info here, but I will need a CLI version later for the purpose of being able to... Oh, look at that. Version, PHP version. I can change it right here. Okay, this is nice. Okay. I'm not going to deny it when something's nice. This is a nice thing that they're already supporting up to PHP 8.4, and it looks like just with a check of the box or something, I could change it up to PHP 8.4 and just hit update, and that would work. That looks pretty good. Oh, and PHP extensions. This is what I was more worried about. So by default, out of the box, what have we got? Well, the other bloke who lent me this one, maybe he set some of these, because some of the things that I wouldn't expect, like GD and SOAP and some of these other XSL and stuff like that, and XML RPC, which phased out. YAML was not there, but YAML's needed if you're running stuff like Stack. Sodium, I believe, is going to be needed, so let's add that one. Solar could add... Looks like I've got most of the stuff that I need at the moment. Anyway, looks like it's a simple matter of choosing what you need. So if you're using APCU, for example, we could probably add that one. If you wanted to do caching, yeah, so you can add an APC user cache and things like that with that, which would make it run a little bit better perhaps. But actually, I'm not going to mess with that one too much. But I will add sodium because I believe that's necessary for 5.1. Okay, let's just save that. And I think that's actually the second one done. So if I go back to my list, yep, set up PHP for Moodle, I believe that would have it done. So I'm expecting that the shared hosting provider will actually just know sorry, that I want to be able to run PHP. I mean, it seems like it's already got it enabled and everything, so should just work. Takes 1 to 2 minutes to complete. Yeah, wouldn't bother me. Okay, so we've got our PHP there. Kind of interesting. They got a Git thing here. What's this Git thing? Private Git repository. Okay, so you could probably set it up here so that it will be deployed directly to application will be deployed directly to public.html underscore HTML directory. Almost certainly not what we want, because what we want is we want the public directory inside to be, yeah, we're not going to want the whole repository, because the repository root should not actually be there. So there's a branch directory, wait. Okay, so I could use this to okay, so there's another option. I could use this to actually put it in another directory or something, but I'm not going to do that, because I think what I really want to do is use htaccess. Now, actually, a little bit of a thing. I did actually click on htaccess before, and I added a key for it so that I can actually SSH in. So I'm going to use that to do my Git thing. I should be able to just use Git from the command line. We'll find out in a few minutes. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to just pause the recording while I SSH in, and then I'll switch to the directory I need to be in. Okay, so I have just SSH'd in, and I'm in the public.html now. So this just has the index.html that I created earlier with the hello world. Cat index.html, hello world, there it is. And so that's a default page. Yeah, okay, great. If I now cd one level up, there I have the root directory for this account. And so if I look in there, there's just a little file there that just says do not upload here. Oh yeah? Well, bite me. Because I want my Moodle code to be in this directory, because I don't want it to be publicly visible. Well, at least not yet. And also, I want my Moodle data directory to be in this non-web accessible place. So I think that do not upload here, I'm going to guess, is just saying if you upload here and expect it to be web visible, it won't be. If that's not what it means, then none of this is going to work. Anyway, let's give it a try and see if it does or doesn't. So I'm going to make a directory, Moodle data. I'm doing a little bit out of the order, but anyway. ls, well that worked, so let's try that. Yeah, seems to be okay. I mean, okay, that should work. Let's see, clear that screen, and now let's get some Git happening. Git. Sorry, I've got to consult my notes. Should have prepared this a bit better. Sorry. Where's my Git command for grabbing the Moodle? I don't believe it. I don't see it in my notes. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't actually usually do this, use by hand. Whenever I'm installing a Moodle, I usually these days use Ansible to get it for me, so I don't even seem to have it in my notes. Where the heck is it? Oh, okay, fine. All right, base principles. Yeah, so let me go to GitHub, and what is that? Oh. Moodle /Moodle in GitHub. That's what I'm after. Okay, just so that you know what I'm doing here it is. I'm just going to my GitHub because I had a tab open in another browser. Here it is. I've grabbed myself Moodle /Moodle, and I'm just going to grab the code here. I'm going to grab the HTTPS link for the GitHub repository, and boom. That's it. I've got it copied. And now inside of here, in my shared hosting folder, I can just go git clone and that. Now, I've done a few videos. Oh, yeah, it's cloning, so that's good. Okay. Now, I've done a few videos over the years about using Git to get your Moodle code. Now, I know that on the Moodle.org site, they say, you know, you can download a zip file and stuff like that. It's my actual, in my honest and not so humble opinion, they should get rid of that. Because download zip is a really, really silly, labor-intensive way of doing getting the Moodle code. Just use Git. And yes, I know it requires a little bit of learning in the beginning, but it is so much easier thereafter that you're really doing yourself a massive favor if you just use Git to get it. I mean, I'm not downloading the zip file to my computer and then finding out how to FTP it and FTPing it up and then unzipping and finding out, oh, the web server doesn't allow unzipping and therefore I've got to unzip it down and then I've got to FTP everything back up and make sure it's in the same place and the file permissions and don't do it. Don't put yourself through that. Don't be a masochist. Just use Git. I mean, I'm using Git clone here. And afterwards, I just have to check out that I've got the right branch that I want, which is going to be Moodle 501 stable. It's the easiest way to get the code. Seriously. Do not use any other method to get the Moodle code. One day, Composer is likely to take over. And that'll be fine. That'll be cool. That'll be welcome, especially if, as I'm hearing rumors about, they're going to have a lovely user interface in the Moodle web UI or something like that to take care of that. It'd be lovely. But for now, Git is the way you want to go. Okay, so that's got all the Moodle code for me, right? Boom, look at that. I've got a Moodle directory, I've got a Moodle data directory, and neither of them are in the web viewable area. So what we're going to do next is go into Moodle the folder, and here we have it, and we can see that that will actually technically be 5.2 development code at the moment because we'll be on the main branch or the master branch. So we need to check out the branch that we want, which is going to be the 501. Git checkout Moodle. Oh, it's not going to auto-complete for me. Well, that sucks. Moodle underscore 501 underscore is stable because that's the code base that we want. We want the 5.1 Moodle version code, and that's it. Everything is taken care of. And that's the thing is, if I then check out 502 when I'm ready to upgrade to 502, I've just changed the code base, and Git does not touch your plugins, does not mess with them in any way, doesn't delete them, and unfortunately, well, a little unfortunately, doesn't move them when you're checking out from 500 to 501. It won't actually move the plugins into the public directory for you. You got to do that manually. But that's kind of peace of mind that it's not going to mess with my other stuff. So now inside of here, I've got my public directory here, and that's beautiful. And now what I want to do is I want to make that actually my, I want to make that public directory visible to the net. Wait a minute, let me go back to my list. So we just completed step 3, and step 4 is what we're going to want to do, set public directory to be the web root. And so I'm going to actually look at that, but I'm going to skip forward then to step 6. I am doing these out of order, I know. Don't care. I'm going to step forward for step 6 because make SQL database is better to do before I try to install Moodle, step 7, which will happen straight after I've done step 4. Out of order, sorry. Should have thought about the order better, but anyway. Let's go back and make some of these things happen. So, okay, I have my Moodle code is installed there, and cd space ... let's see, that's where it is. That's the public HTML directory there, and there's nothing special about it. Okay, I'm going to just move this command line out of the way for now. Go back to our control panel thing, and databases. That's what we want to do. Databases, okay. Database management, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so here I am in the database management thing. Sorry, I just paused that just briefly because there's some stuff underneath this window here that I probably shouldn't show anybody. Anyway, here we go. Let's go Moodle 501. Let's do it, Moodle 501. And I'm going to make my username Moodle 501. All right, and I should grab myself a little random password. What should I make it? Okay, I have just used a password generator to generate a nice random password. There we go, Moodle 501, Moodle 501, and create there, and that should probably just take care of everything for me. And looks like it has. I'm going to check that off camera, and then I'll confirm it with you afterwards. Okay, so that seems to be good. I've just unhidden just this little bit down the bottom here. MySQL database user, I've got a Moodle 5011 there, so that is looking good. Okay, so now let's keep on going. If we go on to the list again, that's going to say that we want to make so the next thing we want to do now, we've got the SQL database lined up and ready to go. I am going to need to install Moodle, and I'm going to do that by first doing number 4, setting the public directory to be the web root, and then straight after that I'm going to just access the site, and it'll ask me for my database credentials that I just made and stuff like that, and I'll be able to install Moodle. And so that will get us most of the way through, I think. Just going to pause for just a second while I make some notes so that I'm ready to go with that. Okay, so here we are once again. Here's my terminal window, and I'm still SSH'd in. And you can see here's I'm in this directory at the moment with the Moodle directory there, the Moodle data directory, and the public HTML directory there. Now what I want to do is I want to move this away. I'm not actually going to use this public HTML directory, so I'm going to move it. And I'm going to move it by doing mv public HTML to public HTML _ old. I'm just going to call it old. I'm going to keep it because just in case, you know. But as soon as that's done, so that I have a worry that maybe the web service shared hosting software is probably likely to say, hey, there's no public HTML there. That's bad. Let's make a new one. And it might crack open for anyone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this command. Say if that command runs properly, then do this next command straight away. And the next command, what I'm going to do here is do what's called making a symlink. And a symlink is a semantic link or something. I might actually make its own video for it because it's a nice little tidbit to know. But basically what it means is making like an alias or something like that. I'm making a pointer that will say, hi, I'm public HTML. But really what it does is it says, oh, files inside of public HTML? Look over there. And it's going to look at the public folder. Inside of Moodle, right? So how are we going to do this? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to say ln link, that's the link command, -s, that tells it to be symbolic, right? And then after that, we're going to say Moodle /public. Right, and we're going to call that link public _ HTML. So what this is doing is it's going to rename public HTML to public HTML old, and then it's going to make a link pointing to Moodle /public, and it's going to call that public HTML. Okay, let's see what happens there. Enter. Did that work? I do not know. ls-l, let's get a list. Ooh, yes, that's exactly what I was hoping was going to happen. So you see here I've got my old public HTML has now been renamed to public HTML old. So that won't actually be accessing anymore. And inside there, I've now got my public HTML, which is pointing to Moodle /public. And so with that done, now if I go back to this view and now refresh my Hello World view, that should open up Moodle. Let's see if everything's working. What do we get? Oh, installation screen. Yes, we're running on shared hosting, which is a terrible idea, but still, we still do it. Okay, English next. Okay, now, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, that seems good for the Moodle directory. It's not saying /public, but okay. Data directory. I'm not sure how these are supposed to be. I've never really done that myself, but anyway. I don't think this one actually needs configuration. You just ignore it. But the data directory is this one, which is correct. It's the Moodle data directory, so that works nicely for me. Okay, database driver. They said MySQL. But I don't think so, right? So shared hosting providers, I think most of them these days probably use MariaDB. But on the shared hosting page, on the thing, it said MySQL. Now, they're very similar. They're basically drop-in replacements. Okay, I'm going to try it with MySQL, and if not, we're going to encounter a problem. If that's not what it is, we're going to encounter a problem. I'm going to have to change it to MariaDB afterwards. Let's see. All right. So native MySQL, so far so good. Okay, now here's where that Moodle database that I made before. That's the name. That's the user. I kept them the same. Database password is this. Database port and socket probably don't need to be configured. I'll just hit it. Yeah. Huh. Well, that's not great. Yeah. Continue. I just refreshed the screen. Okay, well that seems to have worked actually. So I guess it was MySQL after all. Okay, so continue. I don't know why it just... See? Yeah! Totally. Wisecat for the win. Wrong database type. Need to change it in your... This is a nice friendly message though. Look at that. Wrong CFG DB type. You need to change it in your config PHP file from MySQLi to MariaDB. I called it. I so called it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're really smart now. Shut up. Yeah, I got it. So what we're going to need to do here is we'll go cd Moodle, and inside of here we've got now the config.php now exists because it was just created. That's the file that was just created after we answered the questions. So nano config.php. And MySQLi needs to be MariaDB. Maria. Okay. Gonna save that. Great, that's saved, and there we go. Now let's go back down and blah blah blah. Composer vendor, don't care at the moment. So let's reload that. And now it's pretty, and now it's happy because we've got actual MariaDB. And we're using version 11.8, which is good because it's compatible. Version 8.2 for PHP, which is compatible. And that's changeable, we know. I'm not sure if MariaDB will be getting an upgrade. It's a bit of an older version. How long will I continue? Will Moodle requirements go up before this is ready? No, don't know. Hence, shared hosting. Don't do it. But anyway, the composer vendor thing. Now, if you see this message, it is perfectly safe to just ignore this in 5.1. It does not matter at all. What this is because this composer stuff is going to become important later. It's just sort of get your feet wet type stuff. So, but if you don't know what it is and don't have the time to study it right now, safe to ignore. Just this is a reminder saying, hey, you might want to, polish up your knowledge on Composer a bit later. So, okay, let's continue. Installation, system installing. So this is where it's going to be installing the, that's actually going fairly quickly. So it's making all the database tables, setting it all up, getting it ready to go, and blah, blah, blah. I remember back in the day, this used to actually appear as the output from MySQL directly on the screen. Man, this looks so much better, so much more polished, but I don't know, nostalgia. Okay, so that's all done, and now I can hit continue. And let's see, what do I get? This is 5.1, Moodle 5.1 on shared hosting. Come on. Yeah. Okay, so username. I'm going to give myself my typical username here, Adam. You know what? I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm just going to use the same password as I did for the database. Don't you dare do that. I'm only doing it because I'm lazy and going to delete this later, but you should not. Adam was a cat. As if that's my last name. It's not, but that's okay. Email address, adam@wascat.net. Alright, email, I'm going to go with hidden. Alright, time zone. That's not where I am. Okay. Asia, Tokyo, yeah, Japan, Viva Japan. Alright, is that all I need to add? Okay. Oh, come on. Alright, fine, I will make another one. Just give me a sec. Okay, I've made a new proper password. Now it's got all of the junk in there that you could possibly want. You better be happy with that, so take it. Alright, so there we go. And now we've got a Moodle full site name. Shared hosting Moodle. I guess SHM. SHM. It's like shared memory. Okay. Shmoo. How about that? Shmoo. It's a shmoo. Alright, so I've got my shmoo here. Oh, default time zone. No, I'm in Asia. Come on. Asia. Not that it really matters, actually. Okay, and contact. Okay, you do need to add a support contact, I believe. wascat.net. Alright, nerd. Alright. And voila, we have a site registration. No, I don't want to be associated with this. Skip. I'm not running shared hosting Moodles. No way, man. Okay. And it's installed, and that's pretty much it. So it is installed. We don't currently have a cron job yet, and I don't believe that we've got the router configured. So let's make a course and check that the course manage URL, see if it's actually working. And it probably isn't. Actually, let's have a look first in the environment variables, see if that... Kind of interesting, the router not being configured doesn't actually create a something mean here. A message. There's no message, is there? Let me have a look here. If I look in config.php, what do we see? Okay, default, I do not see router configured either, which I'm guessing now that it's considered compulsory is not really necessary. Yeah, for anybody who's watching out there in HQ land, might be kind of an idea to add a little environment variable, an environment check that just says, you know, hey, your router's not configured, because mine isn't at the moment, unless it is. I didn't configure it, so if it somehow magically got configured by itself. All right, let's see, course full name. Let's say test course. Course short name. TC, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Category 1, that'll work. Yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna make it so that it's current. Boom. Okay, now we have a course. Skip tour. Right, so this is a course, and this course has just a minute. I'm gonna get rid of the autumn leaves above so that you can actually see the URL. Give me just a second. Okay, so that's better. Now, to check out the how to actually get it, I'm going to look at the URL up the top here. If we look at this URL for this course, now there's only really one or two sort of things that actually will work with it. But what we've got here is we've got the course with view.php, and at the back end there you can see that the ID equals 2. Now what that means is that this number 2 is the ID of the course. And so if we take that, delete that down, course/2/manage, that is a router thing that should actually appear on this course. So let's have a look at what that does. And that does nothing, right? That's basically, I'm getting a message here that just says this page does not exist. Right, so, and actually there's a guy on a skateboard there. It's very cool. Anyway, I'm going to go back one step. Right, so this course 2 manage is not currently working, which means our router is not currently working, which means we need to configure it so that it can use the router. Now, I'm going to guess that maybe I don't need to have router configured in the config.php anymore because it's considered a compulsory thing. So anyway, let's exit out of config.php. And now let's go to the public folder. All right, now here's where our code is, and you can see here's where our r.php is as well. So r.php, let's see, do we have any dot? We don't have a htaccess file, but because this is almost certainly running some variation of I mean, shared hosting, they tend to give you a little bit of control through the use of htaccess files. So what we're going to do is we're going to nano.htaccess. And this should give us the ability to say, okay, set the fallback resource or something like that to fallback resource to r.php, so /r.php. And I think that should just do it. I don't think I need anything else in there. So let's have a look and see if that makes a difference here. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to go course 2/manage, and still got nothing. Got a 404, and it's an ugly 404 too. It's not a Moodle 404. Okay, so that didn't work. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that, and I'm going to try this. Following one. I got some other code that I've used in the past as well. So fallback resource r.php doesn't work. That probably means that for some reason it's not falling back to that, but whatever. Okay, so I can hashtag that out. And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to try this one here, which is, it does essentially the same thing, but let me explain. Okay, so it uses mod rewrite, which is typically what actually fallback resource does too. But rewrite engine, first of all, switch it on, make sure it's switched on. Second thing is make conditions. Now these conditions are ANDed, which means both of them must be met before the rewrite rule is applied. The first one is rewrite condition, look at the request file name. And if that's not, and the exclamation point here means not, and -f means file. So if the request file name is not a file, if you can't find a file with that name, And the second line, if the request file name is not a directory, which course2manage is not actually a directory or a file name, it's neither, because it's not going to exist in the file system, then rewrite the URL and start it with whatever's after the domain name. Just turn that into r.php. And the L here at the back just means make this the last rule. So you might have additional rules underneath here, you know, rewrite rule, blah, 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 blah. But the L here just says, yeah, if that happens, just stop right here and don't bother proceeding. You don't need to. So that should work, I guess. I'm not too sure. Maybe I need to add, say, something at the end here. I'm sort of feeling like maybe it should have, say, a $path equals and like $1, which would mean the first in this regular expression, this regex, this group would be the first group captured. And so it says just turn that into a get thing. I don't think I've seen anything about that being necessary yet. So this should probably just work. I don't know. Let's try it and find out. Oh, okay. Well, that's not what we're expected, but it is definitely rerouting. So that means that now we've got a Moodle 404. Okay, so the Moodle 404 error page, that's progress. But what this is telling me is that probably I still need to have router configured written into my config.php. So let's go fix that now. cd space dot dot config.php. And somewhere in here, it doesn't really matter, I'm just going to go right down to the bottom and throw a roundabout bottom or something here. Yeah, just in here somewhere. I am going to throw in... Ooh, phone's not on silent. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have... where is it? Router configured. Okay, I got a file about this. Config.php, yeah, something like that. Router configured equals true. That's what we need. Yep. So this, and by the way, you can find all of these little tidbits and things like that in the config dist PHP file. So if I save that and exit. So if we look in here, you can see that this config dist PHP, this has all of the potential options. You can see it's 72 kilobytes long. It's a long file, but if you need to find the actual snippet for what you need, you can just go less config dist.php and go say router. This is a bit, I should have shown you this. This is the better way. So then you got the router configured equals false, and I just put it in as true instead of false, right? So let's see if that's made a difference to what I get here. And there we go. We're essentially done at this point, except I haven't configured a cron job. And yeah, the cron job, if I go back to it in a little bit, yeah, I'll sort of point to how I would set up a cron job, but I probably won't actually go to the trouble of setting one up right now, because I want to go and eat dinner. Look at another video, it's pretty much the same sort of thing. But yeah, that is pretty much my Moodle is now set up, and it's set up to use 5.1 on shared hosting. So that's good. Oh, there was another thing that we wanted to try. Yeah. Another thing is, so at the moment, yeah, let's try that as well. This could be a rabbit hole. But if I look here, the URL at the moment, I've got this running in its own little domain. So it's actually running as root here. But another issue some people were talking about was, what if I have it say /Moodle/ course to manage or something like, or maybe /shmoo or something like that, because I've got shmoo in there. Okay, so I want shmoo to actually work. It'll get a 404 this time. Yep, that's the 404. But what if my Moodle is actually in this subdirectory, and if there's another thing in there that's going to be, say, let's say WordPress or something like that, and I've got another subdirectory. So in that instance, what would happen? Let's have a little bit of a look at it, shall we? Okay, so back to get rid of the URL there. Quit out of that. Let's do it. So the simplest way to do that again would be to use our Symlink, and so we're going to get rid of our Symlink here, and so rm public HTML. It's just going to get rid of the link, right? Remember, this is just a link. Filn ls -l. You can see this is just a Symlink saying, look over there. And so we're going to replace this with an actual directory. So why not replace it with the old directory? Okay, that'll work. Rm public HTML. I'm going to remove the link, and if that succeeds, mv public HTML underscore old to public HTML, and that should do it. Boom, done. ls. And now, okay, we have public HTML is just a directory. If I now refresh this screen, it's not likely to work at all. No, it's not. Oh, well, we're getting the hello world popping up again, which, okay, for some reason that seems to be, what did I just flash on screen? I just flashed a little, whoop, that was the wrong thing. Anyway, here we go, that hello world one. All right, so now what we want to do is inside this public HTML folder, cd space public HTML, right, inside here, we don't want to just have this index HTML, we want to have that public folder, linking here to a shmoo folder, right? So because we said we want the URL to be shmoo, right? So let's shmoo it up. All right, schmoozing now. ln-s, and what do we want to link? We want to link /moodle/public that directory, and we want to call it shmoo. shmoo. I got to spell it right. Yeah, shmoo. Why does that feel wrong? All right, so now I've got my shmoo there, ls-l, there's my shmoo, and let's have a look and see if that works. It probably won't with the course to manage, because that's a 404, because we don't, that is interesting though, because that kind of half working. Intriguing. Very weird. Okay, what's weird about this is I haven't actually changed the domain in config.php. So I should need to go cd Moodle and ls in here, and inside of here I've got my config.php, nano config.php. Now there's a directive in here that's going to say, the www root is sharedhosting.wisecat.net, and I should have to add /shmoo to the end of that to say that's where the Moodle is. Right? At the moment that wasn't in there. So if I do that and reset, what do we get? Okay, and there it is, and it's working. That's with r.php, so I didn't even have to change. Okay, one thing that I was expecting to have to change that I didn't change. Nano public /htaccess. Inside the htaccess, I expected that I might need to change this to be something like rewrite rule equals everything. Yeah, that shouldn't have worked, really. Shmoo slash htaccess. Now, the reason that shouldn't have worked is because I didn't have the path information there anymore. And that's actually it. What this is saying is rewrite everything, everything after the domain. That's what the caret there means. It means everything in the request starting with, and then in the dot and the star inside of the brackets just means capture everything as a variable until the end. And the $sign just means until the end. And so that should replace with r.php, but if it doesn't have the shmoo slash r.php, that shouldn't really work anymore. So it might be just processing from a cached version. There's probably a cache that's working, but I wouldn't expect it to keep working. I don't know. Let's save that and exit that and see if that breaks it, because it shouldn't, I think. Oh no, that did break it. Okay. Forget what I just said. We don't want shmoo in this rewrite rule. If you're doing a rewrite rule, if it's for fallback resource, might be different. But for rewrite rule, yeah, rewrite rule is just going to say just grab it there. And that's gone to shmoo slash course to manage. If I try to go to other screens, boom, it's working. Okay, so that's how you do it, and a few weird things, few unexpected things, but yeah, that's working pretty well. Yeah, you got a lot of things to polish up here, like check the private paths and public paths. Okay. I don't really want this video to get much longer. It's already been going for almost an hour. So here, yeah, for okay. All right. Okay, not going to care about these two, but for security, because I like security, I like things to be secure. Let's fix these ones, and these ones largely should be fixable in. Ooh, that is actually interesting there. Should be fixable in the same htaccess, but there's a little caveat there. So yeah, this is a good one to attach. Okay, just a sec. I'm going to open up some documentation. Okay, I just opened up the documentation for Apache here on Moodle. This is the 5.1 docs, which is also pretty cool. Requires updating. Yeah, okay. But at the moment, so we've got this fallback resource that didn't really work for us, but the rewrite rules did. I don't think the rewrite rules are written the way that I wrote them in here. They could be added here, I guess, but anyway, it's just a different way of doing things, but it involves the same thing. Why is this different? Oh, okay. Okay. This has been updated, I think. Last I saw was this one here. So that you can see that these are all rewrite rules, right? Now, you remember, the thing that I was going to mention is, you see how these all end with the F flag here? Right? So F here means like forbidden. So that's going to return a 403 error, which isn't ideal. Ideally, you want it to return a 404 and not a 403 error, so that instead of saying you're not allowed in here, it's saying what file. All right. So these ones down here are actually better. The following rules returns 404 instead of 403 and F. So, but they're also got L's after them. See, I would have written these as perhaps, F, R404. I think that would actually work better. Okay. Let's try those anyway. Because if they're L's, that's a problem, because the L's are not going to pass it on to, so the 404, we want the 404 to actually be passed on to the router to say, yeah, we're going to the router. But Okay, I'm going to copy these ones. Anyway, we'll try a few. We'll try a couple because this is perhaps new territory for, I mean, doing this in... Okay, so here's our... I'm already got the htaccess file open. Cool. So this one's the last rule. And we have rewrite conditions for this one. So the place we're going to want to put it is above that. Rewrite engine on, and we want to put our security rules in here for the public-private paths. And the reason is we don't want these rules of, not a file, not a directory or something like that. We don't want those to apply. We want the rules to apply up here. So if I paste in there, there we go. Got a whole bunch of them here. And they're all currently saying L's. But I actually probably want these flags, instead of being L's, to be F's. So I'm going to do a quick find and replace on these. I might be wrong on this, but anyway. Let's see. Search to replace would be, say, L, comma. And I'm going to replace that with F, comma. And that's what I think is probably right. Yes, 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 yo. And that's pretty good to me. Okay, control save that, and now these are all, they're Fs, they're forbiddens, but they're going to return a 404 when they do. So let's see what happens there. Yeah, let's go back to our security checks and refresh this. And now I'm getting okay. Okay, so let's see if I change that. Let's say the vendor directory. If I change that to an L. Sure, let's go with the vendor directory. Not really, because it really it actually does exist. Let's test on README. README? Is there a README? I can always make a README. Let's do the README. So I'm trying to choose something that actually exists as a file. Let's see if I refresh that now. Okay, that's still saying it's okay. The README, 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 README. Mod README.txt. Right. Okay. Fine. Fine. Let's try it on, say, L. For vendor, then let's try the vendor one. Okay. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference then. But the idea is, so if I click on, where is vendor? There it is. It's right at the top. All right. What do I get? I get a 404, and it's a Moodle formatted 404. So that's exactly what you want to happen with that. Okay, so it probably doesn't matter if it's L or R, I guess, but well, let's see. README though. If it's shmoo/README capitals. Yeah, that's a 404, but does it actually exist? No, doesn't look to. Okay, no, README. Hello, README. Let's just do that. All right, I'm just putting it there so that it actually exists, and let's see what we get now. Hello, README. Okay, so I got it right there. It actually did just appear. So I'm sort of thinking, let's see, back into our htaccess. Nano htaccess. Let's see if I change that to forbidden there. Is that going to change? I actually don't think that should have. That should have provided me with a 404 there on that one. Nope, I'm not getting 404s on that. I'm just getting straight up the files being served. Yeah, okay, so what about you? Okay. Fine, let's try for vendor then. File not found. Let's try and make a file called vendor. Why not? I'll just call it vendor. it's not really what it's... Okay, I've just changed it, so I've made this hello readme is now called vendor. So now if I go to vendor, it's actually a file. It would expect normally there to be a directory, but anyway, let's see, vendor, I'll get rid of that final slash so that it looks at it as a file, and it just served it up. Yeah. Okay, this is not great. This is not great. It's actually passing the security checks, but it's, you know, when vendor actually exists, it's just serving it straight up. Yeah, that's not great. So, but when Moodle is actually asking for it, it's actually saying, yeah, no, it wouldn't dare. You would get a 404, and you're not getting a 404. Let me see. Let me inspect this with the network. Refresh. What have I got? No, I'm getting a 200. So I'm not even getting a 404. Okay, that's not what's supposed to happen. Shared hosting behaves weird. Right, but what I can basically say is that htaccess is, there are a lot of things that just aren't taking effect really. That one looks like it should take effect, but it's not. Oh, wait a minute. No, this has vendor with the slash. It has to have the final slash. Okay, it has to be a directory. Okay, file named vendor is fine. Sorry, my mistake. So what I need to do is I need to actually make a directory called vendor. rm vendor, and instead make directory vendor, and cd vendor, and nano index.html, and just make a little index file, hello world, and just that text. All right, let's see what happens now if we go into slash vendor. So there's no file in there called vendor now, and it just served it straight up. Ooh, but I did get a... Okay, so I got this 301, which is basically saying, yeah, it's not a file anymore, it's a directory, and... Okay, that is kind of weird. I don't know what they're thinking with this. How come I want to see the headers on that? Fine. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to debug that much anymore, but I'm just going to cordon that off to weird web configurations, weird things happen. Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. I have the shmoo vendor there moved permanently to where? To vendor with the slash. So it's basically saying, yeah, that's not a that's just the fallback you would say for fallback, normal fallback, saying if something can't be found as a file, look for a directory with that name. And then it did find the directory, and it did find the index.html, and it did just, you know, serve it up. which probably shouldn't do. Let's see, what happens if I get rid of the index.php? rm index.php, index.html, sorry, not index.php. Let's see, does it give me an index? No, it's giving me a 403. Okay. It's not a Moodle it's not a Moodle sorted one though either. Okay. Okay. So, let's see. So I'm now finding more things that I can check. Alright. So going back in here, if I want to go to, say, my courses, go into the test course category, go into the announcements forum, why not? Okay, I've got this is forum1, forum view.php. Let's say it's a viewingly, which doesn't exist. Do we get a proper Moodle 404 or not? We got a Moodle proper 404. Okay. So this 403 just seems to be saying that the vendor directory index itself is forbidden, but if there was something in there, you could totally grab it. Not exactly what we wanted, but anyway. So you can see that the doing these things via htaccess might not be the best way to actually do it. It's better if you actually have the path. cd space dot dot. If you have the path that you can actually set properly through the Apache settings themselves, rather than just rewriting URLs, which is all this really tries to do, is rewrite the URLs. It doesn't actually set the directory as forbidden or something like that. Now, if you have access to the Apache or the Nginx configuration, you can actually set entire folders as off limits. In shared hosting, you tend to give up that ability. I mean, there are, I guess, other ways you could do it using file permissions, perhaps. ls-l. But, messing with those, they tend to be, in shared hosting, tends to be actually in the users. They're owned by the user, and I don't know what own blah, blah, blah means in this particular shared hosting. So you could actually make them not enterable, but then every time you want to use it or look at it, or you do a git pull or something like that, you'd be doing that, chasing that down again. So ultimately, I come all the way back to where I really started out with this video, with the ducky wingtip of the day, saying don't use shared hosting to serve Moodle. Seriously, it's cheaper to use VPSs, and you'll keep your hair for longer. It's just far less stressful to have the freedom to do what you need to do, rather than trial and error and saying, will my htaccess work the way I expect it to? And so much testing. If I were using this one here that I'm doing right now, I would not be satisfied with that as a result, because especially I've got my security checks saying, yeah, you're all happy, you're good to go, and stuff like that. Actually, wasn't there another one for writable config.php that we did not? Yeah, I am one deep into that, aren't I? Yeah, so the writable config.php. Oh, okay. Writable config.php and executable paths. Okay, I mean, I can make those two go green, but I also don't know entirely how the shared hosting is going to perform under those sorts of things. cd ... there in the Moodle directory, nano config.php. Yeah. PHP. Okay, but anyway, just to make them go, make those warnings go away, like I kind of said that I would. Inside of here, we're going to want, where I think I have that open. Present exec path true. That's another one of these things that you can find. That will take care of the executable paths one. And so if I save that and actually refresh this here. Now the executable paths is fine. Now the last one there would be to go change mode, say 440 config.php, and that makes config.php technically unwritable. Oh, that has not made it unwritable. Should have. Alright. PHP scripts may modify config.php. Are you sure about that? Okay. See, it's not reacting the way I'd expect it to. Might be a cached result. Security checks. Let's go back to that. And no, it's still coming up and saying it's writable. See, I don't actually know why. See, if that were on my own server, well, let's try completely removing the. We'll remove all permissions. 000. Absolutely no permissions to config.php. That should break it. No, it's still readable. Okay. You can't even... permissions just don't mean anything in the shared environment then. Okay, so if I did that on my own, on a VPS one, that would break the Moodle, because the Moodle would just report, I can't read config.php, or there's no config.php to be had. And so the fact that it can actually successfully see that is not really great. I mean, I have literally said right now, don't, there are no permissions. Nothing could read, nothing can write, nothing can execute my config.php here, and it still seems to be perfectly happily, using it. No, maybe I just need to. Let's try for purge the caches again. Not that one. Is it just serving up a cached version or something? Ah, there we go. Something's broken now. Great. Excellent. Now we got something broken. But it's still actually... Okay, now it's not working. Great. That's what we wanted. Okay. So now let's bring back... Let's just say we'll make it 400. So that means that the owner of the file can read it, but nothing else. Okay. Now what do we got? Continue. Sure. It's just clicking the button saying purge caches. Okay, we're getting it. It's getting closer, yeah. But I mean, this sort of weird behavior, I mean, where it's evidently, it looks like the shared hosting is probably caching things in a place where I have not said cache stuff. It just does that. Well, I prefer to know what's being cached and what's not being cached. I want to know what caching is happening, because that could be really important later when I'm trying to diagnose a problem. So let's have a look at our reports, our security checks again, and it's still saying it's writable. And okay, maybe it is. It isn't as far as I'm concerned, because I've taken away the permissions for even the owner to write to it. And if I go now nano config.php, I would expect, yeah, see, file config.php is unwritable. I would expect that to be the case, because nobody's got permissions to write to this file. Okay. Anyway, it's totally weird. Lots of weirdness is happening, but such is life when you're on a shared hosting situation. Okay, so anyway, I have basically gone through and installed everything with the very small exception of cron. I didn't do cron. Right. Just give me a second and I will show you where cron would be configured. Yeah. Just let me get that other screen up. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the cron job because basically I don't want to have to revisit shared hosting again. So here we go. Advanced, there was a cron jobs thing in there, and here we go. And it is fairly nice. It's actually saying, hey, run the PHP. Okay, so command to run. So it's saying, give me the command underneath there. So we're going to need to know what our, so there's the cron. I just looked it up basically. But if we go present working directory, it's going to be in admin cd admin/CLI. It's going to be in this directory here. So pwd on that. So I guess that's everything after my home directory thing. And so I'll copy that. I would say command to run is blah 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 /cron.php. And I would say common options once now blah blah blah. So here's a problem that you might encounter on shared hosting as well, is that you might not let you do every minute. If I go once an hour, and I actually want it to be every minute though. Right, so every minute. I don't have... Okay, I got some options. But anyway, every minute. Cron should run every minute. So now if I do that, that should just run. Alright. So, let's see. Okay, so gone back to Shmoo. And let's see, does that actually run properly? Okay, the cron message has disappeared. So I guess that is running properly. I wonder if this thing can send email. Alright, let's see. Serve outgoing mail configuration. Let's see, do I get... Ooh, nice. Test outgoing mail configuration. Let's try. I'm just going to try send one to me. Adam at wisecat.net. Boom. Couldn't connect. Okay, so it doesn't have a mail server out of the box as well. So you'd have to configure that as well if you wanted to be able to send emails. All right. Let me see, notifications. Okay, seems that cron's running now. I can check for available updates. You can probably do everything that I wanted to do really with another Moodle sort of thing. Okay, so some things are going to be a little bit weird, but essentially we've got to the goal. We've got to the goal where we've got a fully running, fully configured with cron, with everything, all the stuff that we try to do. If I go back to my list. Right, make HTTPS, yes, done. Set up PHP for Moodle, also done. Get Moodle code, got. Set public directory to be web root, done. And even in subdirectory, done. Make Moodle data directory, done. Configure the router, r.php, also done. Make SQLDB, done. Install Moodle, done, and added a cron job. I did all of those things. Yay. And will there be some other weirdness that happens later that does not actually, where it doesn't actually work properly the way I expect it to? Yeah, probably. On shared hosting, again, I expect problems because there are things that the shared hosting provider have set that I do not have control over, that I just don't know what they've set, and that's going to vary from provider to provider. So if you're having a lot of trouble because your shared hosting provider has a very specific way of doing things, the answer is to move away from shared hosting. There's just so much variation out there in the shared hosting world that there's never going to be a one size fits all recipe for shared hosting. It just doesn't exist, because And at the moment, I'm on a shared host that does a pretty good job of making sure that the PHP was easily configurable, things like that. But there might be something weird. Actually, there was some weird. If I go back here, PHP-V. Let's check the version. Okay, so that's weird, right? If I try to run command line PHP with my Moodle, I don't expect it's going to work because look at that, PHP 8.1. Now the version of Moodle the version of PHP required for 5.1 is at least PHP 8.2, right? 8.2 is required. So now let's try it. I'm going to try running, I'm in the directory already. So yeah, I can just do php cron.php and see what happens. Cron.php. Let's try that. There we go. So something bugged out. Exception call to undefined function core memory preset peak usage. Really? Wait a minute, maybe because I'm in the wrong directory. You want me to run it from here? Admin /CLI/cron.php. Nope, still going to get the same thing. And this could easily be a problem because I don't have which PHP USR/USR. Let's see if I can get a different version running behind command line. PHPIs, PHP CGI, PHP, and none of those are giving me, ability. Like I was hoping I might see, say, PHP 8.3 or something, or 8.2, and I'd be able to say, hey, I want PHP 8.2, so give me PHP 8.2. 8.2. Let's try that. No, it doesn't exist. 8.2. Also doesn't exist. 8.2-CLI. Also doesn't exist. 8.2-CLI. Also doesn't exist. So it doesn't exist. Can't get myself a CLI PHP 8.2, and that could be very problematic. Because I might not be able to do other stuff too. Can I enable maintenance mode? I can. Can I disable maintenance mode? I can. What I expect probably won't work is, say, a command like upgrade.php probably won't work. No, that actually did work. Okay, so surprised again. See, with PHP 8.1, upgrade.php normally you wouldn't expect it to work. It might actually be working because there's nothing to do. But I would expect problems. And that's what I expect with shared hosting all the time. So I think perhaps I've already said this as much as I possibly can without really irritating some of you out there. But shared hosting is just a lot of problems that I don't really need. And I would rather not have to deal with those problems. And that my solution for those problems, as annoying as this may sound, is using VPSs, using your own Linux distribution that you've set up yourself, and not having to not having to play in somebody else's environment, but actually making and maintaining the environment by yourself. And you might be surprised at just how easy it is to do. I mean, the maintenance that you have to do for, say, for a typical Linux distribution is fairly minimal in terms of you just have to every now and again update the server packages. And a lot of that stuff can be scripted, like a dist upgrade or something like that, just to upgrade each week and with their latest security patches and things like that. It's not actually that hard. And from a security standpoint, depending on the provider, I mean, you might have good providers that actually do take care of that stuff for you, but you might not. You might have a provider that only upgrades once every 6 years or something. If you open up that your cPanel or whatever and you find PHP versions, yeah, you can have 5.3 or 5.4, but you can't have 8.4. Well, that's a provider that's not updating their stuff. And yeah, my advice in that case would be run. But yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, I hope this is actually helpful. Hopefully there are some parts that you've encountered. If you've encountered the same problems with configuring your own shared hosting provider to run Moodle, well, now you can see that it actually is possible. There are caveats, there are problems and troubleshooting and stuff like that you're going to have to do. But yeah, hope it's been useful anyway. I actually myself, I feel like I've learned a lot just by doing this, and at least I can see the problems that people are facing these days. In the future, I imagine that the router, the requirements for configuring routers and things like that, I have a feeling that htaccess someday won't cut it. It just won't be good now. It's fine right now by the looks of it, but I imagine that's going to become more of a problem in the future. And composer stuff, well, it sort of depends on how it's implemented. If Composer can perhaps be bundled as a part of Moodle, but I'm not sure that it can. There are things that can potentially happen with that. I have seen a tracker issue that actually is talking about creating a proper CLI for the Composer stuff inside of Moodle, which I think sounds really cool, but there are a lot of details that need to be gotten right there. Finally, I'd just like to end on a note that's saying, I was impressed when I saw. I actually did a video saying this before, but I was very impressed with, for example, the upgrading documentation here. I was disappointed to see people slamming Moodle HQ and the people who make the documentation, that they were saying that, hey, the documentation needed to be better before. It is awesome. So I really just want to end on that note saying to HQ guys, because sometimes I do, have a little jab at, this documentation doesn't seem quite right or something like that. But seriously, they're providing a really good, really detailed set of documentation here. It is awesome work that they're doing, and we should all be very, very grateful for the wonderful effort that they actually have been putting into this. This is no small feat that they've achieved here by having such fantastic documentation. So absolutely massive kudos to the entire team at Moodle HQ for that stuff. I really respect the way that their documentation is superb. That said, is it perfect? No. Can it be? Probably not. We're all human. So when there are some things that are a bit different, we just need to be a little bit patient. Okay. Right here, we install the new Moodle software, and it starts with, get the zip file and unzip the zip file and stuff like that. And using git is, you can, as if it, no, this one should be the prominent one. I would disagree with that. If you really do have a few issues like that you really think you'd like to do it, by all means, as a community member, log into this site here, and you can actually, it's a wiki, right? So there's nothing to stop you logging in and then contributing to this page or adding comments or things like that to say, hey, the correct way, I think, to respond to issues that you have with the documentation is contributing and making it better, because this is a team effort sort of a thing, right? This is not something that I saw some people who were getting rather entitled in some of the Moodle forums, and I thought that was a little bit sad. to see that. So I really want to just say, you know, big kudos to the team, you know, at Moodle HQ, who are maintaining this wonderful documentation, and I really, you know, hope the responses haven't been too harsh on you guys lately, because I very much appreciate it. Okay, at that, I've been going on for about an hour and 34 minutes. Okay, I'm going to stop now. But yeah, next time I go into shared hosting will probably be, I don't know, 2029, maybe 2039 or something like that. I really don't like going into shared hosting, but I hope it's helpful for the people who are on shared hosting. And if you are, I really hope you can escape shared hosting as soon as possible. I hope that you can get out of there, because it's you guys are working too much. You're working too hard. You need more freedom to set up your own environment and get out of it. So good luck with that. Anyway, that's it. I'm out. I'll see ya. Bye.